Hello, you guys.
Hello, hello.
We are here. It's 2000. Sorry, it is 2021. So happy New Year. I
Happy
hope
new
you guys.
focus.
Take my volume down on my phone.
Yes,
I
yes.
hope y'all had an amazing New Year. I hope you brought it in with the bang as much as you possibly could.
Yes.
I know with everything that's going on and us having to be kind of confined into our homes or amongst just a couple of people, it was kind of hard to really celebrate as we usually do. However, I think it was a great opportunity for us to just kind of focus on family, close friends, those that live with or maybe not live with, but just a great opportunity because usually most people go out, they party, they may travel, but this kind of put us in a position to sit, talk, focus. Hopefully people were able to focus on what they want to do in the coming year.
Absolutely.
Maybe sit down and
Set some goals.
Because it's very important, especially with the temperature that of what everything is going on right now. But I know this past week or past couple of days has been kind of tough, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real tough. I don't want to talk about what's actually going on, not those politics, but the politics in the home. That's what's most important tonight.
Right.
Right. I'm just so excited that we're here. Hey, Shari.
Hey, now, when you talk about the politics of home, you think about all the dynamics of the home and what goes on in the home. So we can think about the things going on outside and try to decipher what's going on and bring that into the home, or we can just concentrate on what's going on in our home, what's going on with our children, the relationships, our interpersonal relationships with our children, with our coworkers, with just different people that we deal with on a daily basis. But we definitely want to concentrate on what's going on.
Your head is cut off.
My head is it cut off?
Sorry, guys. Let me try. It wasn't cut off a minute ago.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry, guys. Excuse the hand. Now? That's better.
Yeah, but we're just so excited about today. We just thank everyone, each and every one, for chiming in and being a part of this particular platform. We thank everyone for being a part of this particular topic for the night. It's going to be exciting.
Well, I think since we're at the top of the year, I'm sure there may be people here that have never joined. Let's be clear, they've never watched the show. So I think it's very important for us to be clear about what our purpose is for this show, the why to the what, right? So we're here bi-weekly, and our attempt is to have couples on that will speak their truth, that will speak, their experience on top of their opinion, right? Real things, real discussion, so that those that are viewing can get a feel of, okay, so it's not just me, it's not just us, just to give them hope. And it's not to say that the way that the couple that we have on the show, how they got through it is the way that you will get through it, but it's to give you hope and to show you, and also to just give a definition of what marriage really looks like. So our goal is to create a movement where we're changing the view of how society defines marriage and just bring the true definition back, right? And so I believe with bringing these couples on and having them be really transparent about where they've been, how they thought about it, how they got through it, is going to be helpful to the viewers.
Absolutely. And when you think about real ideals and real experiences and in relationships, you think about how dynamic that dynamic is, being close and being that intimate with someone, and not just being intimate with them, but also being intimate with everything around them, everything that it may be a dynamic of kids coming in, or it might be a dynamic of what you've been through in a prior relationship, and you just want this platform I think it creates that form of just, okay, it's not just us, you know what I mean? It's not just us. These, here are real couples with real experiences, real ideals, real transparency. So I just think it's this particular platform going into this new year. We have, of course, last year we had great couples, we had great topics. There were so many great topics, so many great couples. But this year, I think it's going to be taken to another level. I think so. And that's just my thought and my process, not just because of the platform itself, but because of where we're headed. 2021, we want new things, new focus, new goals. We want to plan out, be better planners, be better orchestrators in our households, not just in our relationships, but not just in our relationships, but our relationships as a whole, the whole house, everything in it and everything around it. We want to be more focused on what we're doing, how we're doing it, more organized. Again, setting goals for our household, setting goals for ourselves individually, and just being more focused on the relationship as a whole.
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. But before we do introduce our topic and our couple that we have tonight, I just wanted to also invite you all to come over on Sunday. I'll share it on my page as well. But come over on Sunday where we'll be launching the Queens of Excellence calendar. So I'm actually in this calendar.
Look at you.
Yeah. Little plug. And I don't want to say Miss, because usually when you say Miss August, that's kind of, but I'm Miss, right? Miss August. And this is me in August. Yes. It's a beautiful calendar, you guys. I am actually selling them there for sale. If you want one, inbox me and I'll go ahead and send you the link. I really appreciate it. But just come over on Sunday, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and for the launch. So it'll be 12 women just speaking about their own businesses and hopefully networking and giving you the opportunity to tap into some of those ladies that'll be on talking about what it is that they do. But moving forward, so tonight our topic, I think is a great topic. We're going to be talking about how to successfully argue, or arguing successfully, right? So who's our guest tonight?
Our guest tonight definitely is going to be the...
You don't know how to say their name. You don't know how to pronounce
No, I know how to pronounce. Our guest tonight is great. These are two good friends of ours, Haj and Ava. Haj and Ava Metoyers. Come on.
Metoyers.
Yes, come on.
Yes, so it's the Metoyers.
It's the Metoyers.
Absolutely.
And beautiful couple, very beautiful couple. Longevity in their relationships, but they'll come on and tell you how long they've been together, the whole, give you the whole spiel. But very beautiful couple with a beautiful spirit. Not only that, but they know how to be in a relationship. They know how to function in their relationship. Over time, they've discovered how to function in their relationship, not just function, but how to argue successfully in their relationship. And they are the authors. They are the authors of this book, 10 Keys. 10 Keys. I was going to say 10 ways, 10 keys, but the 10 keys to a successful argument.
Right, and that sounds so awkward. Like,
yes, it does.
How do you successfully argue, right? But we're going to bring them in, and they're going to share some things with us. But before, I'm gonna bring them in first. So yes, like you said, they are the author of the 10 Keys to a successful argument. But they're also the owners of Spark It Up Hookah. Yes. So they have their own delivery hookah business. For those of you that smoke, they got the smoke. Yeah. So
all the smoke.
Those were some of the things that I was saying when I was posting and promoting. I was saying they have the smoke, and then I said literally. Well, that's what I was talking about. So we're gonna bring them in and let them introduce themselves.
Absolutely.
And just go ahead and get started tonight. Hey there.
Hey guys.
How you guys doing?
Can you see both of us?
Good. How are you?
How are you?
Oh, there we go. Okay,
all
I'll
right.
come in.
Happy New Year to you all. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Hello. Happy New Year to you as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were just giving a short bio of you. I mean, we just said, talked about the book, and I know you can hear it in the background, talked about the book and your business, but wanted to give you an opportunity to tell the viewers, how long you've been married, what made you decide to write a book titled 10 Ways or 10 Keys to a Successful Argument. As you said in the beginning of your book, it sounds like a little oxymoron, and it does. It's like, how do you successfully argue, right? So go ahead and come on in and let us know, let the viewers know who you are and what was your push behind writing this book.
Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations on your calendar.
Absolutely.
August is very dear to me. It is my birthday month.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Miss August. And that's awesome. Congratulations to you. Happy New Year to everyone.
Indeed.
And don't worry, Eric. A lot of people get tongue-tied by the last name. It is Metoyers. We are the
I think he was trying to throw me off on purpose. I had it.
We are the Metoyers, and T and I have been married. This 2021 will make 20 years. We turned 20 years old this year, and we've been together for a total of 25 years this year, with including dating and courting and being married. We've been together for 25 years.
Yeah.
So that's first, our background of how long we've been together. The book came into play. I actually started the book off. What year is that? Like 2008? 2009?
Yeah.
Like 2008, 2009. I did a video on YouTube about the book. And that's where the 10 keys was originated from this video on YouTube. And obviously back then, T and I hadn't been married as long. We was like on year 10, year 11 back then. And we did the YouTube, and the YouTube channel did pretty well. The first YouTube I did 10 through 5. The second YouTube we did 5 through 1. And then I kind of let it dwindle. I got older, life happened, the kids got bigger. We have 2 children. And maybe a few years ago, someone found it on YouTube and texted me. And I was like, I found your video on YouTube. And I was like, wow. Oh, yeah, I remember that video. And they were like, it was so helpful. And I laughed, because I haven't seen the video or anything in years. So T and I looked it up, and I was like, man, this is still some good gems up in this video. And from there is when we decided to make it an ebook, and we wrote the book. So the keys have actually always remained the same, except now instead of being on the video, it's in the ebook that's available on Amazon.
And right now, it's unfortunate, but a lot of couples, because of COVID, they're spending a lot of time together. So these keys are more pertinent than ever, because when you think about it, most people, when you argue nowadays, they argue to break up. They don't argue to stay together. So that's why we kind of, it does sound like an oxymoron, but in fact, there is a successful way to argue and to still get along and to see each other's point and to still live in each other's household and be okay. So that's how it kind of came about.
Yeah, most definitely.
I think it's super dope. I looked at all 10 of the, I got the book. I downloaded it, I read it, and I just thought it was really, really cool how you went from 10 to 1. But before I actually read it, I'm good. I always want to look up words, right? I want to define certain words. So we're talking about the key to a successful argument, right? So I looked up key. Well, I didn't look up key. Key. This is just how I define key. But successful in argument. But a key grants you access, right? So you're saying these are 10 keys. This is access to successful argument. And successful is accomplishing an aim of purpose, an aim or purpose. So that means there's an aim, there's a purpose, there is something that you are trying to obtain by having this conversation, right? Then argument, it says an exchange of diverging or opposite views, typically a heated or angry one. Right. So when I read that, I thought about how society will make us define something a specific way, and we believe it and we roll with it. So we use the word argument, and we automatically, the first thing we think about is it's something heated. It's something that we're disagreeing on. It's something not good. But argument is just dialogue. Like, we're going back and forth with our different views, and it doesn't mean that it has to be anything bad, right? Because it should in effective communication.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Because when you're having a disagreement, the purpose is to have a resolve. You want to solve it. You guys want to solve your disagreement. So yes, to make it successful is you want to solve it. You want to answer, whatever that dilemma or that issue is that's going on with you or your person, and then you want to move on. And I think that's where people get hung up at, is they don't move on. They stay stuck in that argument. And sometimes you can argue with someone. And I know a lot of single people. I know a lot of married people. I know a lot of people. And you'll be like, so how did the argument start? And sometimes they'll be like, I don't even know. They'll be like, I don't know what started the argument, but this is where we are now. And I'm like, see, that's the whole problem. Like, you guys been feuding so long, or maybe so many days, or maybe unfortunately it's turned into weeks. And you forgot what initiated my argument. Like, what was the problem? It was a problem somewhere. And because sometimes we have so much baggage on us and we don't let things out when we're arguing, so much other things come out that we've totally forgot the base of what this first, what initiated this argument. And I think that's to me is where a lot of the problems start. I think sometimes people quit too quickly, when they're angry at one another. I think people listen to defend themselves instead of listening to actually hear what the person is saying. And in the book, we don't just talk about couples. I wanted to make it where you can take these keys and you can have a dispute with a coworker. You can. People don't understand friendships is a relationship too. Any type of relation, any type of ship. A relationship, a work relationship. And people don't understand these keys can be taken in any context with any of those type of relationships. And in the ebook, I also put a few examples of personal relationships and work relationships because I wanted people to understand it's universal.
Absolutely. And I always ask, as you said, sometimes you'll be in an argument and then you'll ask them, so how did this start? What's the derivative of it? And they're like, I don't even know, but this is where we're at now, right? I always say, what's the issue when the issue is not the issue, right? And many times the argument is with y'all, but it really stemmed from something else. It could have stemmed from something at work. It could have stemmed from something at home. Something in your childhood, right? And so you were saying how sometimes, maybe I said it. Sometimes there's layers of things. We go into these relationships and we have these layers on, and so it's easier for us to have these disagreements because we haven't cleared out the stuff, before we address these topics or these situations that may rub us the wrong way. And so we're not communicating effectively. We're communicating, it's just not effective communication, right? And so then it turns into the argument that the dictionary talks about. Right. Heated, it turns into that. Yeah. So,
It doesn't have to turn into that. And I didn't want to make it one thing T and I wanted to do. T is not an avid reader. I am. So he did not want a long book. He did not want it to be long. He's all about the bullet point.
This is the message.
Right.
But it's powerful.
When we're talking, he'll be like, "Babe, land your plane. Like, what are you saying? Land your plane." So it meant a lot to make sure the message was clear and precise, and I landed the plane. For the person who enjoys reading, the person who doesn't enjoy reading, you still get the point. Right. And that's one reason it's an ebook, because it's very small. It's only 5 pages. It's not a big book. But I wanted to make it as clear and precise as I possibly could.
And I just want to comment on that. That caught my attention more than anything. The fact that you made it simplistic, you made it short and to the point.
Right.
I was ready to read this long. I was ready to read. You know what I mean? So I like to I'm a reader, so I'm definitely gonna read. I was ready. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm about to get into this. I'm gonna get all the bullet points, and I'm ready for these, ready for them. And I'm like, okay, so I'm done. That's it. No. Yes, and that was the key. It was very powerful. Yeah, it was very powerful, and it also it solidified what I've been trying to. We've been going, talking about how we argue, how we communicate, how we dialogue over our course of our relationship. So it's been, we've had our own, dialogues about dialogue. How to, right. how to dialogue, how to communicate with one another.
Right.
And I've been going back and forth with that myself. So when I read your book and how powerful it was, and how, you know, everything was like bullet point, it really solidified everything that I've been thinking about as far as like how to communicate, how to have a successful argument, disagreement, whatever, you know. And like Tamara said, argument, it doesn't have to be classified as something that's negative. It's it could be actually argument.
You could just have a
argument can be something positive.
Yeah, and you just want to,
because you're moving it. Because dialogue and communication.
Exactly.
Dialogue, communication is so important. It's one of the major keys in a relationship anyway. So you definitely, when you think about an argument, when you think about having something successful or successful that may be derived as something negative, it doesn't have to be looked at that. It's, we're having communication. We're having effective dialogue with one another. Yep. That's effective in itself.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what? The most important part, I guess, of effective dialogue is actually listening to your partner.
And that is a key.
And that is
you all in my stuff. You all in my notes. You in my notes. Hold on.
That's a key.
I'm back up. I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead.
Reel it back.
Go ahead, sir.
And you know what? Excuse us if it seems like we're stepping over you, but it's freezing a little bit. So it may be, I mean, it may seem like we're stepping over you, but we're not. So I apologize for that. But I was in the 10 keys, there were 4 that I pulled out, and one of them was what you said, Haji. So okay, the 4 that I have is listen to one another. Be honest if asked if something is wrong.
Yeah, that's an
important.
Try to
solve the problem solve the problem in a timely manner, and don't tell everyone your business. So the one, listen to one another. Many times we are listening to respond and to defend, and not listening to hear the heart, not listening to fix, not listening to really understand, right? And so when we're put in a position of where we're trying to defend ourselves, we've already lost the argument. It's really an argument now, right? We're not effectively communicating, and we're not going to get to whatever the vision or the mission is, you know, when we're having this dialogue, when we're having this disagreement. So that one was really major for me. That was actually, well, no, that's not my favorite one, but that listen to one another is one of that was a real good one. Real good.
Yeah, and I think it's important because like you said, and like I said, people, when you're arguing and you're heated and you're angry, you're listening to them only to defend yourself. Like you're not actually listening to what the problem is. You're just hearing how they're talking to you. You're hearing what they say, and then you're ready to attack. You're ready to just defend yourself. And that's just not how it solves. And in the book, I do say cooler heads prevail. You know, when we're both at 10, it's not going to be too much fixing happening right now. We're both very, very angry. You know, so sometimes you do have to cooler heads prevail. You need a break. You know, and let's come back and let's have a conversation. And everything in the ebook is because Tahaji and I have argued. I mean, I've listened to defend myself. He's asked me what was wrong, and I said nothing, and vice versa. Every single key in that argument came from an argument from Tahaji and I. Every single one. Like, it's no way I could have
that. I mean, of course, you're speaking your experience. And when you said you try to solve when you said be honest when asked what's wrong, if there's something wrong, I know for me, I understand the person that I'm with, right? And you have to be able to process how they're going to respond, not process it, but know that if you really say this is what's wrong, you have to, if you know the person you're with, you have to know how they're going to receive it and where this could actually go, right? So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you have to be wise with that response. It's not that you're lying, but it's that you know that this could go a different way. So maybe you need to change your verbiage, right? And not just be so straight up. Because I know me, I shoot straight from the hip, right? I am just going to say it. Like, oh, well, this is what's wrong. So many times I will not say, I'll say, well, we can talk about it later or not right now. But then, he'll keep asking, because you can tell when your mate is like, something's wrong. Of course, if you care, you're asking like, so what's up? Like, what's up? But if you feel like you keep getting, like you keep doing this, then you just say it may come out the wrong way. So that takes time. That takes practice.
Yes. Yes, it does. Most definitely.
Yeah, but you know what? I think two things. It's one, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Mm-hmm. And then two, it takes a lot for a mate to ask, sometimes, what's wrong. Sometimes, if you don't care, most people, they'll see you, they know that you're miserable, they won't ask, but it takes a lot to ask, what's wrong. Mm-hmm. So at that point, it's important that you respond, with an answer, because at that they tried, they've given their effort. So when you shut them down, be like, oh, nothing, don't worry about it. So then you're letting things build up to the point where
I would say nothing. Huh. I agree with you. I wouldn't say to just be like nothing. But I would say, like, if you don't think it's a good time to talk about it, if you know that your tone is if it's coming out wrong, you don't want to talk about it at that time. And you can express that. Like, well, we'll talk about it a little later. Like, I am going through something, or I am feeling some type of way about you. Maybe give a subject. But if you know that the tone, like you just said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If I know that my tone is funky, it's probably not a good idea to talk about it. And you just have to be wise enough to know when and where.
You have to know yourself. You have to know I'm in a very communicative mood right now. This is going to come off wrong. This is going to come off very wrong.
I'm not in an effective communicating mood right now.
Sometimes we have displaced anger. Like you said, you can have a bad day at work, really bad day. And unfortunately, it could be with a superior, with a boss, or somebody who's, how hierarchy works at work. So when you get home, you wasn't able to say nothing to that particular individual. Then you get home and your kid or your husband or your wife may do something really small. Snap. I mean, and you'll snap like that's it, and you have to understand that wasn't why you're mad. That what they just did is not why you blew up. You blew up because you've been holding anger since the 10 o'clock a.m. meeting you had at work, and you have to take responsibility for how you treat others in your actions. You have to be accountable for how you treat people. You have to know, I just got in, I had a really, really bad day. I need 10 minutes, you guys, and then I can come back and have a great family discussion, but you need to restore yourself. You do have bad days, and unfortunately, you do take that with you. And just it can go the same way at work. You can have, before COVID, I took my daughter to school, and every morning wasn't great. We didn't have great mornings every morning. Mornings was fabulous. Not so much. So when I got to work,
and that's the reality. That's just reality.
I needed some coffee. I needed to sit down. I just needed a minute because my daughter had got me so upset. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning. So I don't want to blow up at someone. So you also have to take accountability for yourself and know I need a minute, and I can come back and we can revisit this, because sometimes you take anger with you throughout the day, unfortunately. Trust me, I know people say let it go, but not always the most simplest thing to do.
Right, absolutely. I think it's bigger. I think it's greater to know that it's not a good time for me. Like you said, you're talking about taking responsibility and accountability. So I need to be responsible. I'm only accountable for what I do. Exactly. How you respond to what I say, that's on you. But if I know me, like you just said, give me a few minutes, let me pull it together. It's not such a great morning or evening, or just let me kick my shoes off. Because sometimes you come in the house and it's like the second job, it starts all over again. Mommy, can you do this? Babe, can you do that? Mommy.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, normally that wouldn't be a problem. But when you have a bad day, or maybe a fender bender, or maybe you had an issue at the grocery store on your way home, just whatever it is, sometimes when you walk in the house and you're not mad at them, because like now because of COVID, when I come home, I'm missed. You know, they've been in the house all day. I haven't. You know, so they miss me.
Right.
You know, when I walk in and, hey, mom, you know, they excited to share some news with me, and I need a minute. You know, let me relax.
Right.
Then I'm like, okay, what happened? Why are you so excited today? But you have to take responsibility, like you said, for your actions. You have to know I can't take this out on them. This isn't their fault that I had a bad day.
Right.
You know, so you don't want to. You have to be responsible for your actions all the time, because sometimes you could trigger an argument just by your response. Because now maybe your mate has something great to share with you, and you come in the house in a funk, and then when you're relaxed and you're like, okay, what's up? Nothing. I wanted to tell you something. I don't even want to tell you no more. Now they're upset. You know, and it's like, man, I didn't want all this to trigger. I didn't want all this to happen.
Right. Absolutely. And I'd say, if you are that person that kind of blew up, you know, be big enough to apologize, right? Because we recognize when it's right and wrong, right? We know when we went to the left, and regardless to, well, he don't or she don't apologize. No. It's not up to you to tell him or her how to respond when they do something wrong. So if you know that you were in the wrong, be big enough to say, you know what? I apologize for how I responded today. Yeah. My bad. You know, let's try this again, or this is why, or whatever. You know, sometimes they will begin to recognize, like, okay, there's that face again, or there's that body language again. So I'm gonna give it a minute. They will learn, you know, your body language. They will learn that facial expression, and they'll know, okay, this isn't the time. Yep. Let me give her a minute, or let me give him a minute, right? And it just makes it better all the way around. But that's a learning process.
I've had to learn those facial expressions. I've had to learn that body language. You understand what I'm saying?
Not right now.
Not right now. This one right here, she got some facial expressions. And when I see that, I know. Hey,
not right now.
I know right now. Let me back on up.
But you have to learn them, right? Yeah. Like I always say, you have to be a teacher and a student of the person that you're married to, the person that you're dating. So you should always be learning. You should always be in the student's chair and willing to learn. And you should always be willing to teach, right? And teach according to how he or she learns it, how you get it, right? Because I may it this way with my kid, but I can't teach it like that with my man. Because he's not my child, right? And so if I'm attempting to use the same tool to teach him that I teach my child, I'm putting him in a different category, and so my language is going to be different.
Most definitely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Completely. Yeah, because people change too. So the way I responded to an argument years ago is not the way I respond to an argument now. You know, I'm older. You know, and I'm definitely not as hot-headed as I was 20 years ago. So you do respond differently, like you said, because you change. You know, just being in a relationship, people say you know each other. We do know each other very well, no doubt, we do. But we've changed. You know, like we'll laugh because he'll be like, "Man, that would have been you off 10 years ago," you know, or something like that. But you change, you grow up, and things are different, and you constantly are learning your mate and friendship. You guys change.
Right. I'm sorry again if I'm stepping over you. It's because it's freezing a little bit on our end. Okay. Yes, I wanted to say something about you saying change, right? And understand that sometimes he may change or he may go to another level and she may not be there yet, right? We can't expect our spouse or the people that we're dating, the person we're dating, we can't expect them to grow at the same level with us. But for me, the expectation is that we're both growing, right? I can't be moving and you're standing still. And that's the only problem, right? So, but learning or understanding or being okay with knowing that your spouse is not going to be in the same place with you all the time. There are going to be some times where you're like neck and neck. You're in the same place and you're moving, but there's going to be a lot of times where it's like, okay, she don't get it. Like, come on, you know, just come on, right? And so, but if you are expecting your honey to be at the same level and understand the way that you understand, then you're setting yourself up for failure, because first of all, our experiences is what mold us, right? So who you are as an adult is who you comes from who you were as a child, or the different experiences you had up to the point where you are responding to whatever it is that you're responding to. And so that's just a little tip right there for the folks, so you don't set yourself up for an argument that's like not necessary.
Most definitely.
I want to look at a couple of
you grow at go at different levels. You know, like one thing people always say about relationships is they're 50-50. I don't personally believe that. I believe relationships are 100-100. You know, that's how I think, and that's what I believe. But I've heard numerous people all my life, relationships are 50-50. But people also have to understand, while I'm doing my 100 and he's doing his 100, we're not always going to be on the same page, you know, because we move at different paces, and that's okay. That's okay to move at different paces. But that's when being able to have a constructive conversation, that's when you can be proactive about certain things. And that's when maybe, unfortunately, when you guys are, you know, tethered together, but kind of pulling apart because you're going two different ways on something, that's when the arguing happens. And that's when you have to learn how to have it successfully to get through that. And that's kind of the big key with having a successful argument, is that you don't have that argument again. You know, that argument's done. We figured out how to solve that, you know, because you're always going to come up with something, you know, because you're always going to have challenges in your marriage or in your relationship and in your friendship. You know, we were parents of young people together, you know, so we had to figure that out. Now we're parents of two young adults. You know, that's going to be a different thing. You know, God willing, one day we'll be grandparents. That's going to be a different move for him and I. We've never done that before. We don't know how that works. So as you guys grow and do things together, you will not always be on the same level. And that's okay. That's fine. But like you said, the key part is, long as we're both reaching to get there, like whichever, you know, long as your hand is out to pick me up and help me, you know, achieve where you are, and vice versa, will always be okay.
Right. And I agree with that, with the first part you said. Definitely. That was a key point about being 100. There is no such thing as 50-50. That gap is too much.
You know, it's just a pet peeve of mine when people say that, because I'm just like, nah, that's not really how it works.
They got it from, who was that, Teddy? He said not a 70-30, not a 60-40. I'm talking about a 50-50 love. He said it in a song and he was all wrong.
He was wrong.
It's not 50-50. It's 100. He was wrong all the way back there. But look,
you know,
your 100 may not be my 100.
I love one of the mantras that you always say on Make It Rise is, I am whole. You know, and I think that's so important, because people don't understand. You know, a relationship is not to fill a void. If you have you need to figure that out. You need to work. You need to work through that first. You know, because a relationship is not supposed to make you whole. It's supposed to enhance being that you already are. So you need to be whole by yourself. You know, I'm Eva all by myself. You know, and I don't. You know, I think I'm pretty dope, actually, but Tahaji just brings out the way he makes my light hit different in the sun. We hit different when it works different when we together. I like that glow, but I'm whole by myself, and vice versa. So is my husband. And I think that's very key. Yeah, and I don't think sometimes a lot of
song. I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. Yeah, that's pretty much what you just said.
Right. Yeah. And I learned something. I was saying, Eva, I learned something in the beginning. It was so important. You actually mentioned that. Myself and Tamara, we had this instance where we took this picture, and I'm standing behind her. This is early on in our relationship, and I said, I'm good with just being your shadow. I'm good with just being in the back and being it. And that's so wrong. It's so not the case. It's so not the case. You actually want to be again. And when you talk, you be around. It's relative to being whole. You want to come into a relationship. That's so indicative of coming into a relationship and being whole, not being the person, not laying back and being, again, that's just giving part of yourself and not a whole part. You want to be together with that person, whole with that person. You know what I mean? Together, and you guys be working together to enlighten one another, to uplift one another, to push one another, and support.
So not the shadow, but on the side.
But the side.
Like I want somebody that's gonna walk with me and not behind me. You know, walk with me, support. If you behind me, you're supporting me. There's something that you're doing behind. There's a reason for that. Not shadowing me, because to shadow me is to do what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're doing what I do, that means you're not doing you.
What you want to do.
That's where the problem may lie.
Yep. That's perfect. That's a perfect way to say it. I completely agree. 100%.
Yeah.
So we have some. I want to go to some of the comments.
Okay.
Sharice, she says you have to be whole to bring something to the table, or you are looking for what can complete you. This will always cause friction. I do agree with that. You do have to be whole. I say God created us all whole. He didn't say I made Adam, half of Adam, and then when I have Eve for him, now he's whole. No, she was whole and he was whole. But like you said, Eva, it was the enhancement. It was the it was the not just the enhancement, but he said that you are going to I just drew a blank. I'll come back to it. Yeah. But he didn't say that I am creating Eve so that she can complete him, because we don't complete each other, right? We enhance each other. We are assets. We are, you know, you are something for me that, like, you make whoever I am, you may make it shine, right? You are part of that, but not completing me. And sometimes we do get in relationships and not know who we are. And so if there's a piece of us missing, we will allow the other person or someone to come in and complete us. But then what happens when you learn who you really are?
Well,
it causes a problem in a relationship.
That relationship is going to have some friction now because you figured it out.
Right.
And the key thing is, when you were incomplete, when you got in that relationship, it's very possible that's not the person who matches you anymore, because you've grown, you've evolved. And sometimes
that's what it is.
That does happen. That happens.
Compatibility. You were compatible when you were broken. You were compatible in this season of your life. So I say compatibility has seasons, right? But suitability, if we are suitable, and that's the word I was looking for. God says that he made Eve suitable for Adam, right? So that means that she's suitable for his purpose. He purposed Adam for us. So if we're just together, we're compatible, there's always going to be some friction. We're always going to run into some things because, like we were talking about growth, I may be here growing and you are here. And so now we're no longer compatible. So now what? What does that mean? Does that mean we're not supposed to be together anymore? But if you're here and I'm there and we are suitable, we're still doing our purpose. We're still enhancing each other regardless to what road we're on.
Exactly. You'll make it work. Most definitely.
That was a good question. Good comment. Sharice. We have another Sharice. Sharice, you on fire, huh? Loving Kim. She says you have to know when to admit you are wrong and apologize. And I agree with that. And not everyone have the heart to apologize. They don't know how to say, I was wrong. You know, I was wrong. And let's not just let's move forward, because we want to get to the why to the what, right? But many people will say I was wrong and oh well, let's move on. You know, because they don't really want to address it, but that's where effective communication comes to play. I believe.
Absolutely. But Sam, you're right. Unfortunately, a lot of people, both men and women, don't like to admit when they're wrong, and unfortunately, that lingers the arguments a lot. You know, to me, I mean, if someone is willing to admit that they're wrong, you know, that sometimes would nip an argument in the bud. But sometimes you have people who will argue knowing they're wronger than two left shoes, but they just want to keep the argument going because they want their point to get, you know, across. So if someone is willing, if you're man and woman enough to admit that you were wrong, you know what, that will solve a lot of problems in relationships. So I agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's two other keys that I wanted to touch on before we get off of here, and that is try to solve the problem in a timely manner and don't tell everyone your business. So I'm going to start with try to solve the problem in a timely manner. What would you say is a timely manner?
You know what? It depends on the argument. Some arguments than others, some little, so the other person can understand the person's point of view. So it all depends on what that particular argument was when I say a timely manner. And I do say that also in the book, depending on what the argument is, because some arguments can be solved in 10 minutes. You know, we're not gonna fix this in 10 minutes, or even a day. Right. We need to have a whole conversation about this. Right. So it really depends on what the argument is, but my biggest stress with that is do not let it linger. If you have to let it breathe, you know, because sometimes, like I said, depending on what it is, especially if it's something maybe talking about the kids or talking about one of your kids want to stop going to college and you don't want that and the other parent is okay. It depends on what the argument is. You know, you have to maybe let it breathe a bit, but don't just let it don't be like, oh, you will figure it out or it'll solve itself. Right. No, it will not. It will not solve itself. You have to solve it together, but you have to do that when cooler heads prevail and both of you can come together and have a conversation and listen, because once the octaves in your voice raise, things change. So you have to be mindful of that. So everything is different, but some things don't have to last forever. You should be able to nip some things in the bud. So I do think it depends on what the problem is for a timely manner. I'm not a big fan of going to sleep angry, but we've done it. Right. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we have done it. And it helps sometimes when one of us have taken a nap. And then, and then it's like, okay, I can talk now. Maybe I was just a little sleepy, just certain things, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. And I read that in the book, but I also wanted our viewers to hear you kind of elaborate on it, because we're not saying that you should only argue for 10 minutes and then get off of it. No, you don't want to be stuck on that thing, and then you don't want to, but you do want to talk about it, because if you do not, what will happen is the next argument will be layered with that. And so now you're arguing about things that happened 5 weeks ago, and you're like, I thought we talked about that, right? So you want to be clear that we're clear on the end result. What was the resolve in that? If there was a resolve. If not, it's definitely going to come back up. It's coming back up.
Right.
And the last one is the last one was don't tell everyone your business, which I always say seek wise counsel. Everybody don't get front row seat of your relationship. Exactly. Sometimes we share a little bit too much.
Agreed.
And we share out of emotion.
Yeah, and then
we
you
share
have
out of emotion. I may be angry.
Who you're talking to. Like the person you're, like you said, when you're seeking counsel, be mindful of who you're asking. In the book, one of my phrases that I got from my grandmother, and I say all the time, is a turtle and a giraffe have two different perspectives. And it's, and I say that in that book because I want people to understand the difference. A giraffe sees the world very differently from how a turtle does. And it's just their point of view. It's just their perspective in life. One is very low to the ground, one is very high up. So it all depends. So when you're asking for help, or you want someone's advice, just be mindful of whom you're asking, because the saying misery loves company is very, very true. And you learn that as you get older. And unfortunately, sometimes people who give you advice, even though it's someone you really care about and they care about you, maybe their advice is not coming from the most genuine and sincere place. And then also when you share your relationship problems with particular people, like older siblings or parents or aunts, you have to be mindful. They don't forgive like you're going to forgive. Yeah. You're going to eventually make up with this individual. Mm-hmm. You love this individual, and you and this individual are going to move on. Well, mom and dad may see things a little differently now. And unfortunately, they're going to see their point of view forever. Like, this is how they see that person now. So you need to be mindful with whom you're sharing that information with. And it's not to say mom and dad are wrong, but you have to understand their perspective.
Right.
You're their child.
Right.
They're going to come at it differently than your home girl. or I'm your mama. I'm going to have a problem with this dude now.
Yeah.
You know, compared to your friends and be like, oh, good, y'all made up. You know, so
that's
just very mindful, because family members and really close friends, unfortunately, don't forgive. As like you're going, you guys are gonna make up. You guys are gonna move on. You guys are gonna be happy. And then when you bring that person to family dinner, everybody else like,
why?
What's he doing here?
It's like, oh, I thought y'all broke up, you know, and then you like, oh, your moms don't like me no more. You know? And
that's a whole nother argument.
A whole other argument.
Yes.
That's a whole other argument.
I think that's very key for people to understand. You know, sometimes your friends do forgive like you, because at the end of the day, your friend just loves you. But like I said, aunts, parents, grandparents, mentors, not so much. They don't forgive like you do, and you just need to be mindful of that. And it's not that they're coming from a bad place. The way they care about you and the way they love you, they just don't. They're done. They're over it. They're over it. They want you and this person done. You know. Yeah.
It's an emotional attachment. The emotional attachment. I definitely agree. If you don't plan on being out of there, there's really just leave it alone. My girlfriend, she wrote a book called "You Talk Too Much," and it's for wives, because you know we talk, we share, you know, we share, you know, or a glass of wine or something, you know. But we have to even be careful with that, right? Because you may just be venting, you may just be, you know, getting it out. This is how you feel, and you may agree with some of the things that they say at that time. But then, like you said, a couple of weeks later, they're looking like, okay, I thought she said, right? So now they're not only looking at him crazy, they're judging you. And then now when you do really need to talk to them about something serious, they're like, oh, okay. Like, really? Right? So you really have to be mindful. But
exactly how it goes. That's exactly how it goes. So you just need to be mindful of that, you know, and like you said, be wise who you ask, you know, for particular things, you know, be very wise, you know, ask them when you respect, you know, if you're asking them about a relationship, do you really like their relationship? Do you know a lot about their relationship? Is that a relationship you want to mold, you know, because certain things, some wives, you know, deal with other wives and be like, I would never. And husbands are the same way. You just never know, you know, what a person's gonna do. You have to be mindful of who you're asking and who you're seeking the counsel from. I think that's great advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just put this on the screen because Erica said, "Tell them to get you some business." And that's, you know what, honestly, that's my thing. That's what we say, get you some business. If it's not something for us to talk to you about, girl, get you some business, right? And move on by it. We laughed about it, but
I agree.
It's real talk. You definitely have to you got to just tell people, like, so, because if you begin to answer everything that they ask you and you begin to do everything that they tell you to do, then the expectation is that's what you're going to do. I'm just going to tell her to, or I'm just going to tell him to, right? No, get you some business, right? Get you some business. But this has been, we're coming up on an hour. This has been an amazing show, you guys. I really appreciate it. I know we were supposed to go on last year sometime, but I'm grateful that it got pushed back. You're our first couple of the year. You're kicking it off with us. Happy New Year once again. Is there anything that you would like to leave the viewers with?
Well, I hope everybody, you know, got a gem or two from this conversation. You know, thank you once again, Tam and Eve. You know, we were for having us. Yeah, we were the first couple of 2021, so that makes us very happy. You know, I hope we set the tone. You know, and you know, arguments can be done successfully. Arguments can be done right, and you don't have to have an argument, and that's it. You know, so believe that and know that, and just, you know, always be, you know, hold yourself accountable, you know, be aware of how you feel and what you're doing. And it's okay to apologize. You know, if you're with someone you love, and they love you, it's okay to say, I was wrong. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It is okay to say that to them, men and women. It's okay to be sorry. And you know, I'ma just leave you with, sometimes you have to agree to disagree.
Yes.
And that was the number one. That was the number one. Number one.
You have to agree to disagree. And it's okay. It's okay. That one thing is not gonna make the marriage go downhill. I promise. Because at the end of the day, you are two different individuals, and that's why you guys are together, because of your individuality. So you have to remember that. And it's not going to agree on everything. You know, God forbid you marry somebody just like yourself. Then the world would be so boring. You know, so you want to marry somebody who brings a little something into it, so you guys will think differently and feel differently about certain things. Yeah, you know, and it's okay. It's okay.
Challenge me a little bit, right? Like, challenge me a little bit. Don't agree with everything. We can't agree on everything.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, but there's a way of doing that as well. I guess that's a whole nother show. How to challenge me. But thank you so much, Haj. Thank you, Metoyers.
Thank you.
You guys,
Happy New Year's. Stay safe.
Happy New Year. But to our viewers, I don't know if any of you smoke what is it?
Tobacco.
I'm sorry, I don't smoke. It's all right. But they have a business called Spark It Up.
Yes.
Eva, please put your links in the comments for everyone. I saw someone say they wanted to get the book. It is on Amazon, but Eva, if you could drop the link when you get a chance, I'd appreciate it. Once again, we'll see you all soon. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. If you get a chance, please join me Sunday for the launch of Queens of Excellence. I will be featured in for the month of August. Love you so much for your support. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye, you guys.
Bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.